Hello, friends. Today we continue the discussion or the information sharing on funding. For any startup, as I mentioned last time, funding is critical because funding is going to help you get off the ground. It is going to help you sustain yourself, especially during the initial stages when there is a lot of work to be done. And in future too, when you want to keep growing and expanding. So while we spoke a little about funding and how you can get the funds in the last session, just to revise, what are the different options for funding for a startup? And quickly just name some of the options. Of course, the first stage is always a co-founder and plus or additional funding from the co-founder. So founder plus co-founder, their personal capital is what starts the business. Then what one can do is go to family and friends. And then again, angel funding, crowdfunding, small business loans, if you can possibly get them. You can take grants and awards. And of course, the most predominant one is venture funding. So these are the different ways you can fund yourself. While I mentioned all this, there's one thing I would like to highlight and warn you all to desist from doing that under all circumstances. And that is that when you go to a bank for a loan or any other place when you go, do not, under any circumstances, unless it's absolutely a matter of life and death, take a loan by mortgaging your house. Because the last thing you want to do is to be left homeless. So never ever take a loan putting your home as a collateral. And in the case of older people, well, it's not really a lot to think of, but I'm sure all older people realize that, is that do not ever put everything that you get from your provident fund into your startup. Your provident fund is your retirement plan. And that is what is going to be there for you when you have no other source of income. So don't put everything from the provident fund, the PF as it's usually known, into your startup. So having said this, and having told you that venture funding is the most predominant and the one that you will ultimately need to really grow your business. So today we are going to talk about venture funding. So again, as usual, I'll be making some points and some comments on what venture funding is about and what do venture capitalists look for. So first thing you need to remember is venture funding is far more formal. Okay, maybe the bank loan avenue is also formal, but it is far more formal than going to friends and family or going to angel investors as far as the process and methodology is concerned. The advantage here is that venture capitalists, venture funds, usually 95% of the time are there to support and fund startups and businesses that are growing. Okay, so you may be an existing business and you want to grow. Venture fund is still one of the places to go. And you will see that a lot of startups, you would have read about it, you would know from talking to people, that even after they have become unicorns, so to say, venture fund capitalists still invest in them because they invest in growing businesses. So venture fund is all about that. The amount that a venture fund will invest in you varies on various factors. And not the least of it is the mood and attitude of the venture capitalist. But by and large, you can say that the funding varies on the stage at which your startup or business is. And of course, as I said, who the investor is. Okay. how do you tap these investors? To find out, you have a lot of websites. You can talk to friends, you can talk to other startups, as I mentioned last time, and get a list of probable potential venture capital firms or investors who will be interested in your project. And I would advise that if it is affordable, and if you can possibly find someone who's really dedicated and good, use the services of agencies. There are plenty of them around who help you to raise capital, or even an accounting firm or a law firm who do this and who specialize in this. So now, when you're looking for venture firms, there are certain things you need to remember. You need to find the right venture capital firm or venture capital investor. Okay, so what do you do? As I said, you can find potential investors from a lot of places. You make a list of your targeted VCs. Okay, and once you make the list, then go through it, analyze it, do your due diligence, so to say, and divide them into A, B, and C categories. Basically, do an ABC analysis, just like you would do in a lot of other cases. Okay. Now, once you have this list and once you have the ABC analysis that is done, okay, remember that finding the right VC is very critical. And we'll see why in a few minutes. Okay, so you need to find the right VC. And please remember that don't attract or don't write or get in touch with all the VCs at the same time. Okay, too many of them and respond, and you may not have the time to attend to them in due time. And also, supposing you have made a list in priority, and the first 5, 2 of them show an interest in you, you are going to want those 2 rather than the others you have written to. So what I advise all my startups is to write to 3 or 5 VCs at a time. It takes time. It's all a long going process. So you need to start well in advance, depending on how many months you are cleared for, as we discussed last time. Your burn rate will determine how long you're capable with the existing capital that you have to sustain yourself. So depending on that, back calculate, put in the number of days, weeks, months that you think it's going to take to get possible traction from some venture capitalist and start addressing it accordingly. Okay. So once you have found out all this list and you found out the potential, this thing, how do you go about it? The first thing is introduce yourself. It should be a nice, warm introduction, well worded, more often than not by email rather than any other process. I strongly recommend not using WhatsApp. Okay. It's not that people don't read WhatsApp, but it's not professional enough when you are introducing yourself. If you have the email address, that's always the better choice. If you don't have any other contact and the only contact you have is his WhatsApp number, then of course, go ahead and use it. But as far as possible, use an email. And once you have introduced yourself, and once you are sure that they've read the email, okay, don't tag your emails to get a response when they read it. Not a good habit. But once you've given them a reasonable time, maybe you sent your intro today, maybe after a week you say, yes, now by now he should have seen it. The weekend is also over. He can't be so busy that he can't see an email the whole week. Then you start by cold emailing them. The cold emails you send should the content should be enough for him to get interested in your project. But don't share everything as we mentioned. Okay. There are challenges. So make sure that your emails are well drafted, well worded, and keep a few examples ready. Don't wait at the last minute to compose them. Okay. And once you start emailing them, you start trying to get in touch with them. Maybe by phone, maybe by email, ask for an appointment, maybe by email, send further data. And if they respond to any of those emails, that's fantastic. Then I don't think I need to teach you how to go on. It's a question of pushing yourself till you reach a goal and you get the chance to present to them. Okay. So persist till you get the opportunity to pitch to them. Okay. So that's the meeting where you will tell them more about your business, what you are looking for, etc. We will look at what a pitch should contain at a later date, maybe later today or maybe in the next session. And do not, as I said, reach out to all of them simultaneously. You will not be able to handle it. Okay. So take your time, pitch only when you are ready. And at the same time, although I'm saying do it well in advance because it takes time, it doesn't matter if you get the funds or the commitment early, but don't be late because then you're going to get stressed out without funds. So reach out to all of them. And remember one thing, any VC person prefers to have a person with an A team rather than a B team, even if the idea is B. A A team with a B idea is better than a B team with an A idea. Okay, so please remember this at all times. Okay, and after you exhausted the list of A category potentials and now no response, no traction, then go to the B. Once you responded with the B, then you go to the C. In that way, you are targeting people who are better fit for you, who are you are more interested in rather than just everybody else. Now, to get this venture funding, there are certain things that you need to understand, which is true of life. Whether it is dating a girl or whether it is trying to date a venture capitalist, you need to attend networking events. Okay, these are networking events. These networking events are opportunities for you to connect with people. And it's a great opportunity where outside of the office, you are able to connect with potential venture capitalists. I would go to the extent that regularly search for networking events that are happening around you or which you can possibly attend. See who are the others who have registered or who have been invited or who are potentially likely to be present at that networking event. And if any of your targeted VCs are there, maybe send them an email saying that you are also going to be at the networking event and that you would love to say hello to him and catch up and share a few minutes with him. It work wonders for you. This whole job of finding the VC and pitching to him and addressing him and taking it forward, treat it like a job. It's that serious. It's like you doing maybe a 9 to 9 job, but treat it like a job. It's not a 9 to 5 job for sure. Okay. And keep expanding your network. You go to 5 such networking events where you will meet different people. Sometimes you will meet people who at that time are of no interest to you. But this networking and knowing people can be helpful at any time, which you have not envisaged till today. Today, you don't know you're going to need them, but being in touch with them, if they're from the same industry, if they're potential customers, whatever it is, stay in touch and grow your network and keep persisting. Don't ever give up your process of going to this. Build personal relationships if possible. And at all times, keep the paperwork and a pitch deck ready. You go to a networking event and that I say, okay, come and see me tomorrow. Have your paperwork and pitch deck ready so that you can really go and see him tomorrow. Okay. Now, we know a lot of VCs don't click. What are the main reasons why they don't click? I think the primary reason is erroneous information. You give wrong information, you can forget about that investor working with you. A lot of times there's disagreement on terms. He is asking for 30% stake equity, you are willing to give 20%, and there's no way you're able to bridge the gap. Or he's giving you a term schedule of how he will invest the money by which your burn rate is not going to get covered, or your product development is going to suffer. And although we normally tell the person, as I said, even in your cold emails, to tell the person enough, there, when you are presenting, you will find that there is a conflict of interest as you give more details to this thing. Maybe he's already working with somebody in the same field. And in such situations, you have to be careful. He might string you along so that you know what you are doing, so that he can help the person he has already invested in. Negative references of founders. That is why your integrity, your reputation has to be impeccable. That's definitely a no-no. If there is a negative reference about you, that's the no. At times you face legal issues. That's something you cannot help. And one important thing to remember is if you are giving him a picture of seemingly unachievable set of targets, whether it is sales, whether it is marketing, whether it is customer acquisition rate and cost, this is something, if you cannot defend when he questions it, is definitely a deal breaker. Okay. You need to remember at all times that there will be many, many, many rejections. It's not that the first venture capitalist you meet is going to be very happy to say yes. Even if you have a totally new product which everybody knows is going to work. It's a long-term job. As I said, it's a job. It's a long-term job and you have to stay committed. Whenever you meet VCs and pitch, after that, try and get feedback from them. Because these feedback can help you to improve your pitch or your talk the next time you're pitching to somebody else. And at all times, keep all funding options open, the various funding options. It's not that you started going to a VC, so you close down with the bank or you close down with angel investors or anything else. And even after rejection, stay in touch with the investor. Maybe as you make some progress, that investor gets interested. He did not find it interesting at the beginning because he had doubts. He was not very sure about you doing what you say. But as you grow, as you deliver, as you reach your milestones, maybe he changes his mind. So stay in touch with him at all times. And always remember that funding decisions are not personal. It is purely business. So some people may not be very polite with you. In fact, they may be outright rude. Doesn't matter. Don't take it personally. And normally they will be rude and impolite with you only when they are refusing you. As I just said, even after a rejection, stay in touch with them. And I can't warn you enough about being very prudent in how much details you share with them. There are multiple reasons which I've mentioned. Keep those in mind always. And wait till the time is right. You have to wait till you need the money with the time lag that we talk of. You have to wait till you are ready to pitch. You must have enough substance in your pitch to be able to convince that person. Now, what is it that the VC is generally looking for? They are looking for strong management teams because execution is more important than just the idea. If you have a great idea, but your execution sucks, that idea is going nowhere. And therefore, VCs, as I said 2 minutes back, prefer an A team with a B idea rather than a B team with an A idea. And an A team with an A idea is a sure shot. Okay? They look for markets that are growing in size and which can be grown at a relative comfortable way. They prefer your business and your product to have good margins. Good margins are especially important because of the money you make. It gives you some leeway to cover up mistakes and to make mistakes in the first place. Every VC needs an exit strategy. They should be able to exit easily. And they need big upside potential. So I think we'll look at more the next time. We are going to look at how to pitch to this thing, what your pitch deck should contain and all of that. But before I end, a quick 30 seconds, what do the VCs look for? I think one of the first things they want is proper utilization and allocation of funds, besides what I just spoke about. They want realistic projections. As I said, if you're giving wrong projections, you should be able to defend yourself with those projections. You should have done your study properly. They want market traction, as we just said. They want scalability. They don't want to work with this size of company. They want to just keep growing. They need a team that has a vision. And they need passion and commitment from the founders. And you have advantages of getting the right VC. Their due diligence may find out flaws in your business plan. Okay. And if it's a really great VC team that you are going in with, the additional strategic advice they can give you and the strategic guidance they can give you is going to be of immense help. They can bring you industry connections because they are meeting so many people all the time. And they can become very important mentors to you. I hope this has been good for you. As I said, the next session we will continue with what your pitch deck should contain, how to pitch, etc. As I said, there's going to be about 6 to 9 sessions that we're going to talk on startups. So the next one, I will speak to you on how to prepare a pitch deck and what is it that you should include in that. Thank you, guys. Have a great weekend and do over the weekend, take some time off and send me your comments. I'd really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.